You are now listening to the Project Life podcast, where we take project management concepts and apply them to your everyday life. Broadcasting from the Lone Star State in Austin, Texas, help me welcome your host, Mr. George Lopez.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Project Life podcast. I am your host, George Lopez. Thank you guys for coming back. If you are new to the show, welcome. We're getting closer to the end of 2020, and I really appreciate that you guys are here enjoying the show. If you're new, welcome. Please make sure to check out the last 12 to 13 weeks of the show. We really try to help you guys projectize your lives and projectize your goals and find ways to set those goals, find new ways to plan for them, to set expectations for yourself, to get your mind right, to get your circle right and crush those goals. I know we're getting close to New Year's resolutions and we're getting close to brand new years and new goals and new me's, right? And we are wanting badly to say goodbye to 2020, excuse me, and almost to the point where we wanted to say, fuck you, 2020, let's go on, let's move forward. I want to get my life back to normal. And hopefully you have been taking what we have talked about over the last couple weeks and start to plan, right? Because we're at that critical time where now is the time to plan, guys. Now is the time that you should be prepping for 2021 and saying goodbye to 2020. And don't be caught trying to start your plan in 2021 for 2021, because it's just going to get you guys off on the wrong foot. Okay. And again, if you're new, last week or the last time we were together, we had Mandy Lynch on, who macro coach, high school calculus. She came and told her story and how she's persevered and brought fitness into her life. I know we talk about fitness and coming into the new year quite a bit. And she told her story and kind of where she has gone. Again, just like me, just like you, normal person. She's a high school calculus teacher and she competes in bodybuilding competitions. And it was a great story. So if you have not checked out that episode, find us on Spotify, find us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast from, whichever you prefer, right? Or you could just go to our website, which is projectlifepodcast.com, and they'll have all the episodes there, all of our guests. It will take you to your favorite, excuse me, I just can't talk today, your favorite streaming platform, and you can find all the past episodes. Now, as we push into this week's episode, have another guest on, have a Wall Street analyst coming in to talk to us today about his journey, his business, and he came all the way from India to the US, studied, and I just really loved his story on how you take all the bumps in the road and you leave your family thousands of miles away to come and start a new life here in the US and to be able to persevere, accomplish your goals. So I had to bring him on to the show. So we'll bring him on here shortly. But one thing I did want to talk about was ensuring that, hey guys, again, we are here at the end of 2020 and now is the time to prep ourselves, right? Like I said, if you're not planning for 2021 now, you're going to be a step behind. And don't be that person caught off guard, because then you're going to try to rush if you start planning now, you give yourselves a couple more weeks to kind of pan out some of the things so that on the 1st of January, you are ready to go. You can hit the start button, right? And in the new year, we will start talking about how we're going to execute our goals, pushing forward, moving forward, getting our mindset right and everything else. So, start preparing now if you haven't started. We got a couple weeks left here within this year to help set ourselves up for 2021, which, like me and everybody else, we're hoping 2021 will be a lot better of a year as compared to 2020. And today's guest, guys, we have Akshay Kanade with us, Wall Street analyst, coming to the show. Akshay, how are you today?
Thank you, George. I'm really good. I've been really, it's a pleasure to be on your show. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. 2020, it's a crazy year, so we're making the best of what we can with it. And this show is definitely helping with my quarantine process and getting everything going here. So now I know, we say Wall Street analysts, and a few of my guests would probably be like, George, why are you bringing Wall Street analysts on the show? We're looking to build on goals, and and build, just build ourselves and things of that sort. But you do have a definitely interesting story. Can you just tell us a little bit about you? Who are you?
Sure, absolutely. So, I am from India. I came to the United States for my master's in business analytics. I went to University of Colorado, Denver. So
Okay.
the Rocky Mountains became my second home, I would say. And just about almost 2 years ago, I moved to New York City to work as a business analyst for a small firm that does taxation on withholding taxes. But apart from that, I always felt more engaged in doing something outside of work, outside of the daily career routine, and that's why I just started a web-based career consulting platform called as Pradnya Tantra, which is called actually the science of intellect in Sanskrit. Sanskrit is it's one of the ancient and the oldest languages, and I still love to learn, study, and use that. So I chose this name, and I use handwriting analysis as well. So when I say I'm an analyst in literally every sense. Handwriting, data, statistics, everything goes in there. And with that, I help people to identify their strengths, their personalities, help them choose a career path, develop their interviewing skills, and all sorts of experiences that I can share and help them leverage their own skill set and to step up into the world. I help them do all those things.
That's awesome. That is a very different, definitely a different career path than probably what you anticipated,
Mhm.
coming out of school, and after getting your master's. What was it about? Was it just the pure joy of helping people grow from that, or what helped you branch out into that and open this new business?
Absolutely. So I have had some sort of, not necessarily failures, but roadblocks where I felt like, oh, I chose this career stream. It turned out to be one of the toughest, and I'm not able to get through the final stage. What do I do next? Do I spend my time, like pick up the grit and just, grind, 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 or do I find an alternative route to reach my success point? To me, being in New York City was my childhood dream. I used to have New York City wallpapers everywhere on my screens. And I felt like if I need to achieve that place, there's definitely multiple pathways to success. And what could they be? And then I started referring to all these different self help books. I met some nice mentors, and I realized that I did achieve what I wanted in a few years. And if I could get it done, I could be so happy. I want to help other people be equally happy. So that's something that drove me to start this thing.
No, that's great, and that's something that we touch on a lot within the show. Is that once you actually have that goal, and we can get into that here a little bit too. Of once you set that goal, and we talk about outlining it, and finding the right people and diving deeper. Now that you've grown into this business, I guess what are some of the things that you have seen that can help somebody that is looking to, I I say, projectize your goals, but it's really a lot of goal setting. What are some of those first steps that you have seen that have helped you become successful and get to the point now of this business of helping people? What are some of the common things that most people would say, maybe get overlooked, or as they begin the process of trying to achieve your goals?
That's a great question. I would say the first thing that I would say is looking at your strengths. Identify your strengths. As kids, when maybe everyone was a kid, when they saw that maybe someone was good at art, someone was good at painting, playing music, someone liked to play, like put up an office in their room and have a small desk and write things down. So they like the corporate environment. All sorts of things since our childhood, are actually indicating something that we truly love to do. Our DNAs are unique and our brain is wired differently. So definitely we need to find that thing out. Some people find it when they are 20, some people find when they are 50 or 60. It doesn't matter, honestly. As long as you are pursuing that strong enough, you'll definitely find it. So that's the first thing. Find what you like. Second thing is be patient. I feel that with all this modern age of where a message reaches another person in less than a second and all sorts of things, we are losing the patience side which our ancestors had or which some of the great economy builders had. To start something, lay a foundation stone today and wait for a few days, months, or even years to see that grow, it requires time. And what comes easy can also go easy or as quickly. So being patient is really one of the biggest advantages that always plays on your side. And the third and the last thing I would say is keep improving continuously. It's not something that I learned like maybe a language or a coding Python program few months ago, and that's it. I'm not going to learn anything new. That doesn't happen. Evolution is something that has brought us where we are today from past 10,000 of years ago. So that's something you need to do. Continuous improvement is what I always stress upon. And broadly speaking, these are the three things. And when it comes to like, even if you have to get a bird's eye view on top of this, I would say just practice, patience, and passion is what pays off.
No, that is definitely, very, very critical in my eyes, and it's something that I continuously harp about on the show. And because over really the last 10 weeks or so, as the show has continued to build, I've used, and kind of going through the project life cycle and kind of, how I use project management, being a project manager on, the full time side, and how I use that to actually apply that to life. And those, patience is definitely one thing as a project manager that we definitely have to do, and we set that expectations for ourselves on, what it is it to come. And we're at that time of year where people, New Year's is right around the corner, so everyone wants to come up with something, as they get ready to set those new goals. What would you say they people should maybe look at as they start to set a new goal for the upcoming year?
That's interesting. So I definitely the project management lifestyle. Eventually, everyone who has to work in an office environment does go through that. So I would say one thing that always I like to focus upon is decision making. Two aspects of decision making. I would like to break it down into. First thing would be being able to make a decision is important, and the second thing is how you reach that decision. With all due respect to the science and art of decision making, the actual decision that you make is equally important, because I see people spending lots of time evaluating all their options, alternatives, looking into, okay, let me take more time, let me take more time, and somewhere it's the complacency that eventually disrupts whatever you're thinking and puts you off track. So I think being sticking to that process of decision making is very important, and probably 2021, for me personally, I would say decision making will be my choice rather than making only the right decisions or the best decisions. As an analyst, I would say that even when all these analysts build predictive models, they don't choose the best fitting model. They choose what is actually the most accurate. So it's not 100% matching, but 90, 99, somewhere in between. So don't be afraid, but definitely making decision is very important.
Now, it definitely is. And we've talked about planning, and I know planning in itself is huge, or at least I like to talk about planning. That if you're not planning to move forward, then you're ultimately planning to fail, because planning draws out a lot of things, a lot of things that you may have not thought of, or help set that expectation, and at least define what you're actually trying to do. How, from an analyst perspective and how you look at things, how does planning help you move forward on that decision making process?
Absolutely. So Again, in terms of planning, it's like I would start from the last or the bottom of the pile, which would be people think if I do certain things, it will be a waste of my time. It is not worth my time. And with again, with all due respect to your time and value of your time, I would say there's always something what we call as normal loss and abnormal loss. Abnormal loss is something you should avoid, but normal loss it's given in any process, any approach that you have. So there's always an opportunity to learn. So people should stop thinking about those things that okay, what if I do this? I'll be wasting my time. As much as time management is important, while planning, you need to be aware that to get from point A to B, sometimes you have to get to like point A to C and C to B, and that will definitely help you somewhere in the process. If we can optimize, well and good, but if not, I think planning that way, to put all your options in front of you, making the best of it, and not being over analytical is very important. What I like to stress upon is people again spend whole lot of time analyzing things, over analyzing things, and it becomes like a waste of time, which is not the best options to go planning something. And keeping in mind the rewards of planning, or what you're starting with, what you're getting to, I think it should be as simplistic as possible, and people need not complicate it.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's one of the biggest worries as I talk about planning, that we get to that point where you plan so much that you've talked yourself out of being able to move forward with your plan, because now that you've gotten so much detail, the everyday person, will then find a way to talk themselves out of moving forward because they see the risk and things of that sort. And that's another thing I'd like to touch on, just based on your story of coming, from India to the US. You did have to take, you know, quite a bit of risk in coming to a new place where you had, and I don't know if you did have family here or not, but essentially coming and starting fresh, and taking a lot of risk. Can you touch on, from yourself, what were some of the risks that you had to take and the mindset to kind of get over some of the roadblocks that you may have run into, making that journey to where you are today?
Yeah, that's really awesome. I mean, I would really share quickly how I came here in terms of. So I did a 3-year undergrad degree in India, bachelor's in commerce, and it's by default a 3-year undergrad degree. When I decided to come to the US, I went to some of the educational consultants in my city, some of the best, and they said that you gotta be like a 4-year undergrad or else get another master's and come here. And I said, no, this is the format for my bachelor's, and I don't want to get like just a degree for the sake of adding that 4th year. And those consultants in my city, they were like, no, we can't help you. You cannot go to the US. And I thought that was extreme. Like, what do you mean I cannot? I mean, I am knowledgeable decently, I feel so. And I started reaching out to the universities in the US by myself, looking into the costs of the program, and all these universities definitely started to give me like almost 80% of them were like, yeah, we will accept you, we will do it on a case by case basis, and they were very positive that way. So just looking at that option, that yes, there is a hope that if I apply and get through the process, there's a chance I might get an admit. So I started looking into the GRE, all things by myself, because no consultant was able to help. And as an international student, it's a really long process. You have to get your GRE, TOEFL, your statements of purpose, visa, everything, and all of this process takes about 8 months to a year. And you have no idea until unless you get your visa approved. All the costs that you incur till you get your visa are all as good as like they could mean something, or they could be a complete waste. So that is the risk. And looking at Indian rupee and dollar conversions, that was even scary. But my parents were very supportive. They are back in India even right now. But they were very supportive. They were helpful. They said, like, this is a calculated risk, something that's good for your career. If it works out, that will be great. And if it doesn't, then we'll see what to do. But you don't want to miss out knocking on a door just assuming no one would open that and then give up an opportunity for your lifetime, right? So that's something I think was my calculated risk approach, and I did feel like a horse on which everyone was betting, and you better win, a kind of situation. So that was something I got through, and that gave me the confidence eventually. For I mean, that experience will definitely be helpful throughout my life to kind of just estimate like where can you go. Self awareness is the key here, absolutely. But I think yeah, that was the risk.
And I guess for you, what was some of the self talk that you had with yourself? I know there were probably times where, things kind of, 8 months tends to be a long time, and just the build up. What were things that were helping you kind of get through the process mentally to kind of help keep you in up spirits and ensure that, hey, I know I can do this and it's going to happen and the best is going to work out, and kind of get you to that point? Because I know there's a lot of times that, just on a regular goal, whether it's weight loss, saving money, things of that sort, we hit, that little road bump. What were some of the things that you had to tell yourself mentally to kind of get you over some of those roadblocks?
Mhm. Yeah, it was a challenging time, definitely. So things like telling myself that, first of all, coming from an accounting finance background and imagining to shoot at an analytics course where you have to code and stuff, and you haven't done that before, that was something I had to learn myself, and I decided to, just stick to it, and again, grind for looking in all these courses online, trying to be prepared because I didn't want to be, the just a low hanging fruit in the class or something like that. So I made sure that I was prepared to enter the program. I started writing some research papers on my own, trying to prove my mental abilities, or I would say analytical abilities and financial abilities as well. And that really gave me the encouragement. I mean, I just entered a competition for research, like presenting research papers. It was a national level competition, and me and my team, we won the best paper award. So
Right.
that came out of nowhere, and it felt like if I wouldn't have done that, assuming who's gonna read my research paper and things like that, it would have never happened. But things like that gave me the confidence, which said that okay, if that does not work, I'm gonna try a different country, I'm gonna try a different market, and then again, my goal is to be successful, and there are multiple pathways to that. If one shuts down, I'll find another, and the never give up attitude, like we say, that paid off.
Yeah, most definitely. And that sounds like, an awesome journey to get here. And now once you got here, another thing that we talk about, at least within the show, are resources, but resources more so about the folks that surround us, and the teams we build. Um, you touched on your parents being a good supportive team there for you as you made your transition. Now coming to the US, what were some of those resources, and how have you kind of built your team now, 2 3 years later, to now start this business and continue to be as successful as you are?
Yeah, so my friends are again a really significant morale boosters, I call them. They helped me a lot because almost all of them were from a similar background, and because things went pretty right for them at that level, they didn't have the same idea of coming to the US. There were people who felt like maybe I should wait, maybe this is not the best time or best suited approach. But then there were majority of them who were like, no, you go ahead, let us know what you need. They tried to find more contacts or people who I could talk to in terms of my job opportunities. What could I do going from here? How does the process look like? Because I only knew a handful of people who had been to the master's program here. So finding that information. So my friends being from similar background, again, everyone was like, okay, we will make sure he gets there. That I think that atmosphere helped me really get here. I would say the books I've been reading, the people I've been following, again, motivational speakers, listening to podcasts such as this one again, has helped me to understand that yes, everyone has obstacles, but you never get to choose your problems. You just have to face what you get. And I took them as my set of problems. And from all these management ideas, strategizing, and positive thinking lectures and seminars, I felt like if I don't put it to use right now, I won't put it to use at all. I mean, it would be not the best use of all those philosophies that have been shared in these great books. So I think Robert Greene, an author whose books I read, really one of my favorite authors, and that just built my morale so much that I was motivated to just go for it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And now we're here in the US. You head to New York, you head to Wall Street there. And so tell us a little bit about, at what point or what was it that you really thought, hey, I do want to branch out, and kind of walk me through that process of, hey, I'm really thinking I have this idea to build something of my own and now get it to the point to where it's at today.
Right. So I would say about 2.5 years ago, I started feeling someone reached out to me on LinkedIn saying, I am from a similar background as yours. I was planning to get the CPA in India, but it didn't work out. I feel like I'm lost. And at the same time, I don't want to leave my career or my profession. I love the things I do, but I just don't have that degree yet. So, what are my options? And they wanted to come to the US in the same way I did, and they had no guidance. The first time someone came to me, I said, okay, do this, do that. This was my process. Let me know if you need anything. And then that person got three more people saying, hey, we are looking for the same thing. And that's what hit me, that there are people from this background, because typically in India, usually engineers, doctors, or architects are the primary people who do their masters abroad, but from commerce or business administration, that number is very low, almost negligible. So I felt like the same thing that came to me, that the reason these people need information, because who else is gonna work on the balance sheets and profit and loss? But for these guys, they're knowledgeable and they deserve a shot at applications at least. So that was something that hit me, that if there's like four or five people reaching out to me, there's more, and I need to reach out to them. So that's when I started. Just I made my own handmade logo back then called US After BCom. I tried to purchase a domain, create a website, learn it by myself, because, of course, low capital or no cost, low cost project, I would say. So it started from there, and then almost 18 months ago or a year ago, I actually started filing for my logo, registered trademark, and made a proper website, put content around, hired a few people in India just to kind of make sure they do logistical things, because that's where the base is. That's my target audience primarily. And then again, whoever needs help with resumes, applications to jobs internationally, LinkedIn strategies. Because I learned it myself, I'm able to help people on the first hand, and that has started definitely. I don't have a whole lot of statistics so far. It's just taking off the ground, but yeah, we are definitely getting there slowly.
No, that's awesome because it's, you had an idea, you saw it, you put it together, and it a lot of it yourself, which is, at least here on our side, it's hard, but it's one of those things that, so many great people end up doing, where it's just, if I couldn't find the resource, out there, I dug and dug and dug and found it and did it, and learned it myself and grew it and things of that sort. And that's, that's a great story. And, I hope it continues to grow for you in a matter of, you know, getting global, because it does seem that could be at least the process behind it of something that is definitely needed out there, and just a resource for folks, because it really goes back to a lot of things that we talk about on being able to find a resource when you are lost, and who can I turn to, who can I talk to, who has been through that same situation, and that could actually probably spark more people being able to make the same journey that you did, and that is awesome. So tell me, where can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. My name is up there, Akshay Kanade. I went to University of Colorado, Denver, so you can find me easily. I'm also pretty active on Instagram if you're looking for some recreational pics of New York City or anywhere that I travel. But yeah, those are the two places. And you can also visit my website, www.pradnya, Pradnya, Tantra, Tantra.com.
Awesome, awesome. And before I let you go, tell me a little piece of advice that you would give my listeners that, listening to your journey and understanding what you've gone through, just in our short time together. What advice would you give someone as they're getting ready to start maybe a new project or a new goal, and they're a little worried because they failed in the past with it before, or they've hit that roadblock and have gotten stuck and have just quit, but they really want to achieve it for whatever that motivation is. What piece of advice would you give them to help them move forward?
Yes, so really basic piece of advice I would like to share through an anecdote. It's a Sanskrit anecdote again. So basically, people in a king's courtroom are appreciating the king and they're giving a message. And that message goes, Nisarga Bhinnas Padame Samstham Asmin Dvayam Shrisha Saraswatisha, meaning that usually education, that is Saraswati, and Shri means wealth. They are found in two different places, but in this king, they were found in just one person. Despite of that, they say, Kantya Gira Sunrutaya Chayogya Kriyamana Shakti Bhavet Trutiya. So they said, despite these two things, wealth and education, what the third thing should be that you should look into is action, kriyaman, meaning you should know your duties or responsibilities as someone who's pursuing a target, a goal, maybe personal or professional, anything is fine, but you should know that these are some of the steps that are needed in the process and you should be willing to take those forward. You cannot wait for somebody to act upon something and then be laid back about it. And I would definitely remember something my grandfather always says, that not failure but low aim is crime. And that definitely, if taken in a great spirit, means that you will always try to hit the upper note, be more productive. Don't think about the things that you've lost, maybe time, resources, or anything like that. Just be looking forward, be futuristic, help as many people as you can, and trust me, it all comes back in good faith.
Awesome, Akshay. Well, I definitely appreciate the time, and I hope and pray for your success as we continue, and hoping that 2021 could be a lot better. For you, your company, your growth, your family, and I definitely appreciate the time for you coming on and sharing your story with myself and my listeners.
Thank you, George. Thank you so much for calling me on your show once again. And I have been listening to your podcast. I enjoy them a lot. So I encourage all the audience to keep listening to your podcast and have a happy new year.
You as well. Thank you, sir.